Hey everybody, welcome to the Capture Scratch podcast, where we explore the worlds of film, television, and the creative process. I'm Mike, and I'm here with Joey, and we are going to be talking about Stranger Things, most importantly, the finale, and also a little bit of ConformityGate. We'll throw that in there as well. So, Joey, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm great. How are you? I had a nice restful holiday. I tried to do as little as possible and watch as much as I could, How about yourself?
Same. And actually, you know what? Before we get into our Stranger Things awesomeness, I have a couple of fun films that I watched literally a couple days ago that I think you're going to be proud of me for. So I'll lead off with the most proud I think you'll be of me. I watched Weapons.
What?
Yeah.
What'd you think? Oh my God. I'm so glad you didn't tell me that in the pre-show chatter. I would have not been like this excited. This is so
held
great.
on to that nugget. So
what'd you think? I'm nervous. I'm nervous to know.
Loved it. Loved every minute of it. The way it was told, the reveals, it was so good. Everything about it, I loved everything about it. I hate that it took this long for me to see it, but it was just, everything was great. The fact that it kind of did a little bit of genre play with the thriller aspect and also had horror in it. Mm-hmm. The fact that, Aunt Gladys as an antagonist was great. The final kids, when they get snapped out of the possession, was great. Everything about it was just awesome. So I'm so
Weapons.
Glad you liked it. It took too long to see it, but I'm glad I did.
I feel like you and I have a similar weird taste. We're both into stuff that's horror or just out there. But I love but aside from those things, I feel like we are very different wavelengths on certain genres. But I love when you and I hit the same one. And we're both yes, it was awesome.
Yes, like what we did with Invincible when we were talking about the top fives and stuff like that. We went on a whole tangent about Invincible. Yeah, so when we hit in these strides, those are really good. So yeah, Weapons was great, and then I think we talked about this one in our 2024 top list, but I also finally saw Final Destination Bloodlines, which I hadn't seen.
I didn't see that one. How'd you like it?
It was great.
No, I haven't seen that one yet. No.
Okay, good. Oh well, I think you should, because it's definitely really good. It's good. It has a lot of good homages, kind of like the fifth one, where they were doing a little bit of homage to the first one there. But this one was good, where it was Tony Todd's, obviously his last Final Destination before he passed away, and it was his scene was great.
He deserves it. He's an horror icon.
Yes,
so cool that he got to do that. And I heard he knew he was going to pass shortly, as he was filming it, which is really dark in itself, and a franchise about that.
Right.
I think I heard it has a profound message in there somewhere with it, and I think that's so cool. And I love the horror genre. It's so much. And also, Aunt Gladys from Weapons got the Critics' Choice Award the other night.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. I mean, she deserved
Best Supporting Actress. I think Best Supporting.
So cool.
Isn't that wild? And I think somebody else in horror won as well. And I forget who it is, and I'm abstaining to myself for that. But it's a big year, and a lot of stuff's getting nominated for all these other big award shows. And I think Weapons is really being pushed around. And Sinners, too, obviously. And that's the other
Weapons and Sinners, baby. Two great horror films that came out last year. So
I totally agree. I have a slight confession, not confession, but I'm angry at myself for our top 5 taking place just last week in retrospect of finishing a show that has been out for the past month and a half. And I think it might be number 1 or 2 of my 2025, and it's Heated Rivalry. I don't know if you've heard about this show.
No,
but it's this LGBT love story. It's based on a book series. It's out on HBO. It was out through Crave in a Canadian-based media company, and it wasn't going to come out here. But then the fan base saw that it wasn't going to come out here, and they just raged online, and they got them through HBO to pick it up.
Wow,
and
that's
it's
awesome.
This phenomenon. It's so I think Jacob Tierney wrote it, directed it. He didn't write it. It's based off the book series that somebody else wrote. I forget her name, and I feel really bad about that. But here, we'll just enter it here. There it is. But what's really cool about it that I didn't realize, the 6 episodes of the show was filmed on a shoestring budget in 30 days. And
Wow.
each episode's about an hour long. It's a hockey show, very high end. They used anamorphic lenses,
Nice.
hence my recent purchase in anamorphic lenses. Anyway, we'll get to that in another episode.
Yeah.
But highly recommend. It was, especially the 5th episode, it was pretty unreal, and it's a little bit jarring for anyone who might not be used to watching stuff like that with the LGBT community, but we need the representation, damn it, and there it is, and it was great. It's wild, a great show. But yeah. I don't want to waste too much of our time here talking about that, but you should check it out. Have you heard about it? I
have not even heard a minute amount of this, so I'll definitely have to check it out. Yeah, I'm always looking for good content. I say content. I shouldn't say content. Good stories to watch. Let's say it like that. Good shows. Just a heads up, good movies.
just a heads up, if the family does go venture off into it, it's 100% not a family show, and I was shocked by how. I was like, how are you getting away with this? This is nuts. So just a little heads up.
For sure. So before we keep going, let's jump into Stranger Things, because there's so much going on with it, and it was like craziness the last couple of days. Yeah. We are filming this on January 7th, which is ConformityGate's big date, right, Joey?
It's ConformityGate, Mike. It's happening. It could have. It's 7:17 right now. It could still happen, Mike.
There's
time.
In 43 minutes, if it's to the release schedule of Netflix, right? And we'll put an insert here with like whatever the answer is, which we know already. I know.
And I'm Dude, sure how silly would you feel if it happens?
I'd feel pretty silly, but yeah, I'm they wouldn't have. Oh man, so many thoughts are going through my head.
Can we talk about ConformityGate first? Now that we're just on it, I just want to say it's not happening. It's not happening. It's silly. It's insulting to the showrunners. Yep. It's like they wouldn't spend that kind of money on that type of fake finale if they were they wouldn't make that mind flayer. And then what? Is the mind flayer just come back again and they're just going to run through it all again?
Yeah, it's going to be a different battle scene or something. Like it's going to be a different epilogue or something. Like you spent 40 minutes on the epilogue, so
Yeah.
It's
What'd you think of the final episode? I mean, season as a whole, episode, whatever you want to tackle first. But I'm very curious to hear your thoughts.
So okay, well, ConformityGate, I guess Joey and I are both on the same camp in there, and we might as well just say it's not happening, guys. It's we both safely say it's not happening. So my thoughts on the season were I loved it. I loved the season. I had fun with it. It was a great season of Stranger Things. It's it had the feel. It had all of our favorite characters doing their Stranger Things stuff. My only slight gripes with the finale were the stakes. They felt a little low. And I'm not saying that people needed to die necessarily. That's not what I'm saying. But I actually was talking about this with somebody at work today or yesterday. And the way I said it was Karen Wheeler had those, have the fight with the demo dog. It had and you saw even in the finale, she had the scars. So a little bit of that on the main characters would have been great. Like having a real consequence to some, to give something life, give the fights life. And also in my opinion, the final fight was a little quick, so the pacing felt a little, not, I don't want to say rush because I don't think it was rush. I think, everything seemed still deliberate, but I'm certain scenes felt like they went on for a long time. Like there's that meme with Holly and Max were running towards freedom, and all of a sudden they stop and then they're talking for a long time, and then they had the somebody or put in the podcast mics, and they're they stop and have a 40-minute podcast. So that's my thoughts on it. I think again, it was really great. I love the show. Love the way that they the 80s throwbacks are great. I just felt like it was at times it felt a little bit. The stakes felt a little low sometimes, and it felt what give me a little more reason to care about the outcome of this event that's happening, because there's a lot of events happening for sure, but
yeah, I feel what you're saying there. I'm really glad to hear you liked it, and that was your only gripe. I really wasn't sure where you're gonna go, and tried not to chat with you until we had this conversation.
I know we had a little bit of a stonewall between when Stranger Things finale dropped and then now for the podcast. It's I agree.
It's so Mike, how's work? I guess.
What you doing today? Not talking about Stranger Things.
For our audience, we don't just talk in the pod. Me and Mike are texting back and forth literally all the time. Right. But I'm really relieved to hear you're still you really enjoyed the season. I'm really dismayed by all the people who kind of crap on it a little too much, and it's just for me, it's just I mean, it was a great season, and I really felt the finality of the season, and I think in a sense, finality or final seasons or final movies in a franchise always kind of are a sad point for me, or a touching point for me, because they're always going to feel a little bit different than the rest of the series, because it's different. It is different. So you just got to accept that, I think. But I had a lot of fun with the season, despite most of the fan base absolutely hating this character. I really liked that Kali came back. I was like saying the entire show, I'm like, there is no way they're leaving number 8 just to what happened to her, or just not going to go back to it.
I agree.
So I was glad they closed that loop, and I thought it was really clever how they did. There were some things with like her pushing her agenda on Elle I didn't enjoy, but and I guess if we're going to go into the just finale for right now, I guess I agree. I thought the fight was a little short, but also I didn't want to see too much of that happening for 20 minutes, and I didn't want a CGI slugfest, like everyone complains about at the end of every Marvel thing we get. Too much CGI. And
right.
For me, it's kind of like, oh, so we got less, and now you're still upset about that. It's like, what can we do for you people? But I guess what I would have liked, and I think like, my thought is they just didn't have the money on the CGI, which is why the Demogorgons, Demobats, and Demodogs weren't there. And I forgive them. It's like, no matter how much money they have, that to make those amount of episodes with the effects that they have, and the cast budgets going up and all that stuff, it's gonna be astronomically expensive. So they did what they could. But I guess in my mind, I would have liked to have seen a tiny scene that was reminiscent of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, where Harry, Ron, and Hermione are running through the final battle, and they run into the spiders, they run into the Dementors, they run into a troll, they run into all the things that they hit in their past, and they get past each one of them pretty quickly. So I think I would have been cool to see the team using flamethrowers, messing up some Demodogs, Demogorgons, and then 11, after all of her training, coming in when she did, and 1, 2, 3, killing them all, and then she's ready to fight the Mind Flayer.
Because they did that throughout the whole the season. Like, even like with Will discovering he's the sorcerer, like that whole, all of that tension and all that build was like so there's an example of a part I loved when Will and then he's like, and he's like grabbing them all, and
cool.
And then all the Demodogs snap and are destroyed. That was great, because that rose the tension for all 3 of those different Demodogs chasing the different parts of the crew. So I think
I do have an argument for it, though.
Yep.
Season 1, there was 1 Demogorgon. Season 2, there were a bunch of Demodogs that Will threw up. We literally knew where they came from. Season 3, no Demogorgons at all. 4, I think there was 1 in Russia, and for the most part, nothing was in the Upside Down. And you see Henry in Dimension X, the Abyss, whatever you want to call it, when he first arrives, and you see 1 walking by. For me, it was very possible to me that there just weren't any left. We saw Will kill all of his Demogorgons. You never see him use a Demogorgon again after that. He sends the Demodogs, and when he does that, Karen kills them. So and the bats were all died in season 4, I believe. So it's perfectly logical to think they're not there.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of it like that. But yeah, maybe.
Remember in season two, they're talking about the Mind Flayer, Will and Mike, and Mike's like, Demogorgon? And then he's like, no, it's not him. And they don't even see the Demogorgons, I feel like it's perfectly reasonable. There's not that many of them available. I mean, that's like essentially like a football field size of a place okay, maybe a little bigger. It's basically Godzilla, but a couple football fields. But right. I think it's perfectly fine to think they might not be there.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the way some people think of it is probably that there's like an infinite resource of them, and they have to be. There has to be like some, but like maybe there isn't. Maybe we kind of just.
I think I would have been really mad if I saw an army of Demogorgons. If it was a couple, cool, but I didn't want to see that either.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, again, like the whole, like you were kind of alluding to with like the big CGI slugfest at the end, like that would have been like akin to Marvel being like, all right, now there's just a bunch of baddies, and But you also have to understand too, like that would have again broken the sense of the suspension of disbelief, because then it's like, how are like this ragtag crew of people and Elle being this only superhuman person there defeat all of these, and it's like, yeah, so you have to keep it reasonable with that. It's just, the Mind Flayer, which is a pretty big, obstacle. And of course Vecna too. But
I kind of wish Elle fought the Mind Flayer directly a little bit longer. I think that fight, I always like Elle versus the Mind Flayer. I always think it's a really cool psychic person versus beast is really an interesting back and forth.
There's a lot of fire.
Yeah. I just don't like not that I don't like it, but the psychic versus psychic hand thing that they do.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's dull. And like even her versus Billy was cooler than her versus Vecna, I think. I like season 3. I'm a big fan of season 3.
Me too. Yeah, it was so funny. A lot of people were joking, like, "Oh, imagine like this is the episode where like Billy gets to actually go and be with Mrs. Wheeler or whatever." I just thought that was like the fun. Like people keep. That's the thing. Like ConformityGate keeps coming out with all these great memes.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
What did you think of the Joyce axe scene in the finale? What did you think of that?
I thought it was fine. I think I wasn't super crazy about the line, and I wish Joyce is best in season 1 and 2. There's especially 1. There's no doubt about that. She just had more to do, and I think that's fine that took place then. I don't think it's I know people are saying she's not nothing to do, but it's like realistically, what else does she have to do? Her story happened already. But
right.
But I do felt like that line was a little cheap, but I did like the flashbacks and seeing all those major moments of Vecna hurting all of them. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I like the flashbacks, but I feel like that felt a little like they could have put that in a different spot, I feel like, because I know it's supposed to, like, where it was chronologically makes sense, but I think how do I say this? Basically, like, it felt like, okay, he got pushed into the spike. Him and the Mind Flayer, both died for all intents and purposes at the same time, right? Like they're connected, so the Mind Flayer's heart shriveled up, all that. Then they have like a little bit of like a reckon moment, and then all of a sudden you hear Vecna start coughing up and something. I'm like, wait a minute, but then shouldn't the Mind Flayer still be active right now? Like, why is
totally.
So him dying once and then coming back to this just for Joyce to cut his head off? The axe is perfectly there. She picks it up and starts doing the stuff, flashbacks and all. I mean, I get why they did it because it's like it was her revenge for for Vecna for taking Will, but like I don't know. For at that moment I was like, what is this? Where is this coming from? Versus I feel like that should have been more powerful in a different spot somewhere. I don't know where.
It almost was like they were just trying to find a place to put something more significant for her in there. I do think she was in there with the axe. I do think she brought it with her. I think it would have been better for me if Nancy had finished him.
Yeah.
I think Nancy and 11 are essentially, and I like that Will became a strong character for them. I wish 8 had more to do in the overall thing, and fights with 1 and everything, because it was kind of like, I mean, she's got powers too. Like that's what we need going into
literally
this
all
fight,
she did was like
all these
make the invisibility for the kids in that one scene, and then they disappeared out of Vecna's mind just for them to get captured by all, and then and then she gets shot, and you're like, oh, that was kind of unceremonious.
I also hated that because it was like you tortured her for months, and like that whole V for Vendetta scene, and like then seeing all the pregnant, like that was traumatizing. So I was kind of like, we need to see her have some revenge, and they just got her, and I was just kind of like, that didn't sit well with me. That I feel like she deserved better, and I think I even don't mind the Chicago episode very much. That glowing butterfly, I think that's such a beautiful scene, and it's so reminiscent of season 2 for me. So I don't really care what people say.
I feel like Kali has been getting a lot of hate, just overall. But I think her inclusion, bringing back that thread at 100%, and giving her more to do would have given more of a justification for that. I don't know. Where do you want to go from here? I don't know if we should talk about just the epilogue or what else. Because I like talking about the finale. I think like a lot of people kind of forget.
Well. Before we spend too much time just on the finale, I guess before we dive into the big question and the epilogue is like, what were your big highlights from the season, and how do they compare to your highlights of the whole show?
Well, I definitely liked, like I said, I liked when Karen and Mr. Wheeler got attacked. I think that was a great, again, the tension was high. It was very well done. And there was like a little bit of like, wow, they got mauled. And like to find out that they both, survived is like a good, like, okay, wow. Okay. They made it through. And, that also set up, obviously, the stakes for Holly getting captured, and for then Mrs. Wheeler having that moment later in the series when she blows up the Demogorgons with the dryer. So like that, those
great Jurassic Park scene.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were all on top of the things and like looking around. That was good. I like that. And then again, a scene with full of tension with there. So like I think throughout the series, or throughout the season, there was a good amount of tension that they built, and it was like everything felt very like you're on the edge of your seat, and it was really good. And then the finale kind of was like, where did it all go? So again, that's I know I go back to the negative, and I shouldn't. I should stick to, like you said, let's talk about the positive. So how about Joey? Tell me about positive moment from the series for the season.
Again, and like the finale episode is like the same thing as like what I said about the finale season. It's just that on steroids. It's going to be totally wild and different from what everything is, and the mystique and mystery and that what's the word people keep using for the show? Lovecraftian. Like the first 2 or 3 seasons are a bit more Lovecraftian than the fourth and fifth, because there is like a clear villain, and I want to watch more Lovecraftian stuff now they say that. I will, and I'll get back to you on that. Love that vibe. Ooh, so creepy. But yeah, I think I'm curious what it's going to be in hindsight. I don't feel like, to me, that was not like season 8 of Game of Thrones. So no. I feel like I wonder what people will lighten up a little bit and try to say or try to admit like that it was good, or I don't know. I'm curious to see what that's going to be like. I think Will's storyline was great. That was a fun redemption for him to get powers. I think I always kind of wondered, like, is there a connection between him and the hive mind? Like, can he tap into that in more of a way? So that was satisfying, and seeing him get all that was really satisfying.
Absolutely.
I really liked Mike. Drove it home for me in his last couple scenes in the epilogue and right before, with everything with Elle. With him screaming his head off, because I almost said like, man, they're giving him nothing to do. But another character who's like the first 2 seasons were really all about him, and then ever since not really. But I don't think he has to necessarily have everything be about him.
Because he was definitely like the main guy in like the first couple of seasons, but it's okay that other characters start to take more of a lead role, especially in a show like this. There are so many main characters that need stuff to do, but like that are driving different plots, to the point where some plots become the A plot, and then some plots kind of do sit on the back seat. When they were trying to find Will in the first season and stuff, like Mike was leading the charge and all that with the main crew, and then as you add the characters too, there's more characters and stuff like that.
Will's barely in the first season if you think about it.
That's true. You're right.
He's barely even a character, and that's something they had to contend with too. Is when he and the good thing he was a great actor too. I was like wondering, like in between those seasons, like, oh, is he going to be able to do this? But
right.
So I like all that. Robin's always been one of my favorite characters. I really like the inclusion of Holly Wheeler. Because she's always been there, and I think it was nice to see another person kind of like go through the kidnapping and kind of be able to kind of tackle old demons of what happened in season 1.
It also did bring kind of back to season 1, because like like you said, with like Will being a kid and being taken like that, and then it's like the similar plot happening, and they're also kind of keeping in the family where it's one of the Wheelers, so now it's like kind of like, and also that again raises the stakes, so it's not just like what is it? Dipshit Derek, he's the only one who gets taken, and then it's like, oh god, it's this random character, right? But it was actually somebody that's involved in the plot of the main crew. So that helped with the
something
stakes.
I loved in the whole season. Steve and Dustin's relationship. I think
it was pushed great. A little bit and had a good arc for sure. Like where
good arc.
And Steve thinks that it's like all about because he's just being an asshole, and like, or Dustin's being an asshole by being so distant and stuff, but it's actually because he doesn't want to lose Steve. I love that. That was so well done.
So traumatized. Oh my god. And the fight was great too. And I love when they're fighting each other. Well, no, they're not fighting each other. Dustin's trying to fight him, and Steve will not fight him back. And it is so sweet. And they have such a nice brotherhood, those two. And I just love everything about their storyline from beginning to end. It was completely satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good stuff there. What do you think happened? What are your thoughts on like? it left it kind of ambiguous, which
Right.
I think some people don't like. I really like that. I really like being left to wonder what the possibility is, and I think it kind of gave us the stakes we want. I think I've heard some people say like, oh, they're getting their cake and they're eating it too because it gives you stakes, but not really because you get to have this too. But I'm like, this whole thing is kind of based off like an Amblin Stephen King style thing. It is meant to, well, not even so much Stephen King. I say more Amblin, but it's like trying to be that. So I think it needs that. So what are your thoughts, Mike? Tell me what you think.
So you want to know my thoughts on like what actually happened, like what actually happened to Ellen and all that stuff, or
Yeah, what do you think happened to Eleven?
I think that she went with the upside down and got destroyed and everything, and this was again Mike's.
You think she's dead?
Yeah, yep, and I think that Mike was telling that story because he wants to believe it, right, and he wants it to be true.
Wow.
So that's his belief, and all of that stuff was him telling the story in a very well way, to the point where they were like, "Do you know something we don't?" Wow. So like, but I think that is him being like, I don't actually know what happened to Elle, and but we saw what happened to her in front of our eyes, right? So because Kali was out of it so long ago, right? Like she was, they said she was dead and all this stuff. So unless like Elle was lying, when she said that she was dead and that kind of thing, for Mike's,
it's possible. I mean, you never know. I mean, I don't know. I wonder about the issues that he rose with it, like her being able to tap into the upside down or her mind thing while those things were right around her, which it seemed like anytime it was anywhere near her any other time, even though they weren't technically facing her, I think it still would have, some of them were facing from the other side. So how would she have been able to do that? And two, you don't actually see Kali die before your eyes. You see Hop come in and she's dead. So for me, that's always like, if they didn't die on screen, that is for a reason. I believed Kali had something to do the rest of the episode. I mean, also, if she did get shot into her stomach or anything like that could last a long time. Look at Reservoir Dogs. That's the freaking whole movie that dude's bleeding out.
That's
so
true.
she could have just been like playing like freaking solitaire in there until they finished what they were doing.
Stay here until I need you most. To make an illusion of me at the end.
And there's also the other option that she didn't necessarily even get shot, and maybe she was just waiting for the upside down to just get sucked down out of there, because that was her plan the whole time anyway. I was glad she wasn't like really evil. I heard there was a lot of rumors of that. I'm like, no, I think she's just like a martyr. I think she's just like, she feels this way for real.
And actually, yeah, let's touch on that for a second. I actually liked how that actually did add a little bit of story beats and stakes, because Kali coming to Elle and being like, we can't exist in the real world, right? Like, they're just going to keep trying to come after us and keep trying to keep their experiments going if we're alive. And we need to go down with like, that is great. That's like that adds a great sense of, and that gives Elle a moral decision. Of course, before that, she's like, oh yeah, Mike and I'll just go somewhere random and they're never going to find us and we'll keep on the run. But that like kind of brought her back to reality.
It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked once.
Right. The U.S. You can't fight the U.S. military. Right?
I know I keep going back to Kali, but I do think it's true. Like, I think that's part of the reason why it was so important to bring her back, was to round out everything about that story, that trauma, everything with all the kids and her being one of them out there. And it's like, what I think is interesting about her, and that she didn't turn out to be any true sort of evil, is that different people just with different agendas for good reasoning. And like, she was definitely not wrong, and she was not doing it from a place of like trying to hurt 11. She was like, I think we're better off not in the world, and dark, and I don't like that. I didn't like what she was saying, but she had a point in her own way.
And it brings, it's not like she's not doing it as like a evil, I have to bring you down with me or whatever. It's literally like she's being a realist about it. And I think that that's a great, and also it adds a little bit of dilemma to it. It adds like, should I, shouldn't I? And also then Hop, finds out about this plan. He's like, Elle didn't tell me, but I found out about it because Vecna told me. And now, I'm like, you shouldn't do this. And that's the whole dynamic to them, because there's that dynamic with them. So it makes him not like Kali more, but Elle's like, well, she kind of right. Like, it's like, it's crazy.
I feel like, with what she said to him and saying, can't you just trust me that I'm going to make the right decision? And I feel like she's still out there, maybe, and I feel like maybe he even knows with how calm he was, because it's very reminiscent of season 1 in that Hop was the one that connected with her in season 2, not anybody else.
Right.
And he kept it a secret, so maybe it's the same freaking thing. Maybe she's out there, and
that'd be some good incorporation. That's some good incorporation, you know.
I believe.
There you go.
I believe she's out there.
And I think that's the point, is whether you think she died in the Upside Down, or you think she's still out there. That's what the Duffer Brothers wanted from that ending, is they wanted you to just believe whatever you believe.
Yeah. So. I think it will age better. Even this conversation is making me feel like the show's ending will age better.
Absolutely.
But I think people respect the show for the entirety of what it was. And it's like, I feel like a lot of people are reminiscing very much season 1. It was like the best thing ever. But I'm like, you know what? Season 2 was awesome too. And it was darker and sadder, but there was such beautiful stuff in it. And I think 3 is my favorite season.
Yeah. I agree for sure, you know.
I don't know, the summer vibes, the mall, the neon. Oh, I love season 3. Robin. Yeah, I really.
There's a lot of great parts. Yeah, the Robin and Steve in the ice cream store shop is just so great.
And that one shot of that dude hammering his hands on the desk, and then it goes from a normal angle to a Dutch angle. It's like, what?
Brilliant. Brilliant. And then the fight with the Mind Flayer in the mall. There you go. That's a Mind Flayer fight right there. You know, didn't that last? That lasted a long time. That lasted like 20 minutes. So you can make a good Mind Flayer fight. You know,
that fight always reminds me of The Gate. You ever see that movie, an 80s movie, The Gate?
Oh.
The little demons. And they're all like, "You've been bad."
Yes,
no?
yes.
It's like really creepy.
I was trying to think if that was the same. Yes.
But I'm pretty sure that same kind of thing, big ass monster at the end, and they fighting him with fireworks, and but yeah, kind of the same thing. Yeah, so
cool, so cool. So yeah, 3. And I think also like you have to look at the whole series in its entirety, right? Because like this season, whether you think the season or the season finale or the series finale wasn't that like to your expectations or whatever. Like you said, you got to take it, the whole thing as a one big project. That's been going on for 9 years too. So
yeah. And I appreciate that's been going on for 9 years, because let these actors grow, let us grow with them. And I don't know. I mean, it's a tradition of the 80s to be casting people who are way too old to be playing teenagers. And I'm pretty sure all of them are still very close to that age. So it's kind of like, well, whatever. Let them have it.
Yeah, they're like in their early 20s. Who cares?
I'm really going to miss the show. I've loved the show. It's been something that's comforted me for years. I love 11. I love the soundtrack. The score is like one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like actually to the score. I loved the inclusion of the Trooper Iron Maiden for the graduation scene. That was so badass. I loved that.
Yeah, that was super cool.
Dustin's speech was great, and it was a good callback to like Eddie and being like
Eddie Munson.
If I got to talk on stage, I'd flip off the principal, and he literally did that for Eddie. So I thought that was cool.
I like something I like about this show too, and I feel like people accuse it of being. I know they have a lot of imagine this is the Upside Down. Yeah, okay, whatever. That's always been the show. But I like something about the show is like their callbacks don't necessarily have this whole, hey, you remember when we did this? It's very like, if you remember, good for you.
Right.
But if not, like, remember when Steve and Dustin say, if you die, I die in the finale?
Yep.
I completely forgot. They say that in season 3.
Oh, shit. I forgot
Dustin
that
says it to Steve. Yeah, wow. And Steve's like, okay, whatever. but yeah, it's just like, so I'm like, they don't spoon feed you.
They really don't
callback. So I like that.
Well, Joey,
so.
This has been a great episode of us watching, reminiscing about Stranger Things, and I agree with you. I think that the series definitely will age like a fine wine. It's. I think people have to stop kind of like thinking about just the season, get the blinders off and really think of it in its totality. And I think they'll find the great value in it. So with that. Thank you all for watching. Definitely, we appreciate you guys giving us the view, and also make sure you keep, tell us your comments, tell us your thoughts on Stranger Things and what you think happened at the end, and don't forget to check your capture scratch.
And we'll see you after 8 p.m. after ConformityGate.
12 minutes.
It's happening, guys.
It's happening.